Hey, what's going on, everyone? Joe Menza here, and this one I am going to be doing. We've got cotton paper out here, Winsor & Newton, and I've got the Fuumuui brushes out. Now, you remember I did these Fuumuui mop brushes back before, and I did enjoy using them. But I've got some new Fuumuui brushes, and these are travel brushes, and these are squirrel travel brushes, which is very interesting. And I'm putting some raw sienna on here. Now, I've been learning with these squirrel brushes. You know I'm a hake guy. Got the large goat hair brush like you see me using here for blending. But I've been using these. I've been trying to, just kind of expand my horizons here. And I don't know, with these brushes, I find you got to kind of use the side of the brush, or at least I am, and it's giving me that big brush feel. Now, the nice thing about these is they do hold a lot of water, so you can do, it's more like drawing with the tip of the, these types of brushes. But these are great for travel. I highly recommend these. These you can unscrew and store inside their barrel. They're metal, and they go in their little pouch, as you saw in the beginning of the video. And these brushes are very nice if you use these types of brushes. And I think they hold a fair amount of water. I wouldn't have a problem with using them. As you know, if I use a bigger size, I am going to have a hake brush, but I would have these. I would throw these in my bag, no problem. I mean, no hairs are coming off. I've had no problems. Fuumuui has been really good with sending me brushes. I don't get any commissions. I just get the free brushes. I did not pay for these. They asked me if I would put them in a video. I give you guys a discount code, and if you want to buy them, go ahead and try them. If I thought a brush was bad, I wouldn't even put a video up. But so far, what they've sent me from the Fuumuui company, everything's been good. I have not had like a bad brush, and they seem like they're really, really important to them to get their brushes out there for YouTube viewers. Obviously, they're marketing, but they're not putting out really a cheapo product. It's a decent product, and I've used cheap brushes. Cheap brushes will fall apart, hairs fall out of them, they break. The ferrule, which is the metal part that connects, I've had those come off. I mean, I've had, these things where they just basically, you can use them a few times and they're no good anymore. But this here, I'm just, I'm demoing. Obviously, I'm doing a video here. I wanted to give it every possible good shot. I'm using the Daniel Smith paint. I'm using cotton paper. And I decided to go for sort of a fall-winter type scene here. I've got purple on the sides, that dioxazine purple or whatever I can never pronounce properly. And I'm using some cool blue colors here. You can use a cerulean or even a cobalt or something like that. And I'm going to use some white gouache. Now, when I initially washed this paper, I washed it with a white gouache wash. What that means is I put white on the paper and then I washed it in so that the white, you have sort of a white gesso in gouache, if I can call it that. And then when my colors blend in, they'll give me the sort of pastel effect, which you see here. You see that in the yellow. And then, of course, I'm adding the white, which will be snow on the sides. So I'm going to use gouache. I'm going to use snow. You can leave it white if you're a purist of watercolor. You can do it that way. I like the painting. It's one of the reasons why I'm starting to do a little more oils on the side, which will be coming soon, my channel. But I like painting with white. I mean, to me, leaving a blank area, what's fun is that? I don't know. That's just me, I guess. Now, see here, you can see me using the white, and I'm pushing down. I'm using every aspect of this brush. I'm using the point. I'm using the ability to paint from the side. I'm spreading out the fibers, and I'm using that. So I'm pretty abusive to these brushes. And I don't see a ton of hair. I mean, I might have had one hair come off, but I'll tell you what, when we use those goat hair brushes, like, hairs coming off is super common. I mean, I've used all kinds of brushes. I've never seen one where like one hair didn't come off, but these actually are pretty good. So I'm not seeing that here, but these feel good in your hand. I wouldn't mind them being a little bigger though. So as you can see here, I'm just kind of creating a little shape on the bottom here to make a little snowy type lake. Maybe you come across this pond in a park or something, and it's starting to snow, and you make up a little story, I guess, to go with things. If it helps you to decide where this is if you're coming up from your imagination. It doesn't hurt. Now, I cheated a little bit, and I used a large brush to kind of blend. But, nobody says you have to only use these brushes. I'm trying to limit myself using these brushes just so that you can see what they can do. But they're not going to do everything that every brush can do. So, just to show you what they can do. Now, you could, if you were using a smaller format. This is a bigger sheet. This is, 10 by 14, 9 by 12, something like that. So for me, I'm just, I've used a bigger brush for a long, long time. But these will do the job if need be. And I mean, I've watched other creators and seen them where they only use these brushes. But it depends on what you were, what you started with learning from when you came into the hobby. For me, when I came in, I had told everybody like they knew I had been watching Bob Ross, but I couldn't really do the oils at the time. I didn't really want to do the oils. It was kind of messy and stuff like that. So I eventually made it to the watercolor. And then I said, there's got to be some people using big brushes out there. That's how I found Ron Rance and Stephen Cronin, Dave Usher, and a couple others. And at that time, I didn't even know that watercolor came in tubes. I had found, Frank Clark was one of the first ones. And I ordered his brush. It had to come from Ireland. It took 3 weeks to get. And when I finally got it, I was like, oh, this is the brush I was looking for. At that time, I hadn't heard of Ron Ranson, actually. And then I found Ron Ranson, and that he had his own brush with his name on it. And then you have these here. Now, these are Fuumuui hake brushes. I don't know if they're making these, but they made them for me. I did see them on Amazon, but I don't know if they have them on their website. But I'm trying to keep this video all Fuumuui. So we have Fuumuui mops, Fuumuui hakes, and Fuumuui travel squirrel brushes. Now I'm using this is not a Fuumuui palette knife, but I do believe they have one in a set. They have a set of brushes that has several different size brushes in there, and that's on their website too. So if you're not interested in the squirrel brushes, you can get this set of brushes. They have so many different choices on there. You can't really go wrong. Like I said, I got these brushes for free. I don't have any commission involved or anything like that. So, I mean, I'm putting this here for you. Now, I've got the smallest of the 3 brushes. I'm just going to put a little fence in here. I figured I'd do some detail. Since I had the small brush, I better put a little bit of detail in there. And we'll make a little fence maybe somebody would hang on to walking down toward this water. Darken that up a little bit. And put a little shadow in there. A little shadow. Maybe it should have went the other way. The shadow should have, but that's okay. As long as they're all going the same way. A little too heavy there. You can just blur it out with your finger. I just take and rub it. That was a little heavy there, but that's okay. Maybe that post is facing you. You can take a little gouache. You could put little highlights on there too if you wanted to. I'm using the Winsor & Newton gouache. And I'm using the Daniel Smith pan palettes. I do have a link, I believe, in my description. They're expensive though, I will warn you that, but the pigments are really strong, so those little cakes or half pans or whatever, they'll last you a long time. And I'll take this fine one. I'll put a little bird in there. And just a few more little details, as long as we're having fun. This could have a little Halloween, October vibe to it. Early snow, maybe. Could be. Put a few more branches in there. Instead of dragging out the rigger brush, I'll use the fine tip on these brushes. Thinking maybe they should be darker though. The trunks could be a little darker. You have to have a very gentle. I'm not gentle. I wish I was gentler. I think Ron Ranson, he had a very gentle hand. If you don't know who Ron Ranson is, this is the first video of mine you've stumbled on. He pioneered the use of the large goat hair brush. Like Frank Clark, if you've heard of Frank Clark. But we have a group in Facebook, Ron Ranson Watercolors. And come on over, join us, and see what we're doing. I'm one of the admins there. But you have to answer a few questions before you enter. And it's all automated. If you answer the questions, you'll just get put right through. Nobody's sitting there approving anybody. See, these details, my hands are a little shaky. Make that darker, see? Make that stand out more. Don't want them to look too much like telephone poles. They do look a little telephone pole-y, though, for some reason. Maybe I scrape them a little bit with the palette, plastic palette knife, plastic credit card. Give it a little more definition to it. I'm like a bull in a china shop when I paint, though. I don't have that gentle touch. Just a few little details here, maybe little rocks or something. Okay, so here it is in its little mat, and that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed these Fuumuui squirrel travel brushes. Here they are one more time. And we will see you next time.